You find yourself at the entrance of a tunnel passing beneath an Amish farmhouse in Holmes County, Ohio. There are no wires, there is no compressor, no thermostat, and the air emerging from it is 55 degrees during the peak of August. This system brings any home down to 55 degrees, relying solely on the ground under your feet, plus a fan consuming less electricity than a standard bulb. The Amish have constructed this for 2 centuries. The air conditioning sector has been aware of this since 1930, and that same year they ensured it remained hidden from the public. Following my previous video, numerous viewers inquired similarly, how does it work in summer? How can a home be kept cool? Thus, I returned to Holmes County, and what I discovered beneath those farms involves the identical physics that the Persians employed to preserve ice through 120 degrees desert summers 2,400 years ago. And indeed, this method functions even if your home was constructed 50 years ago. Consider the figure that transforms everything. 6 feet beneath the surface, the soil temperature stabilizes and remains unchanging throughout the year. Regardless of summer or winter, what occurs on the surface is irrelevant. Oak Ridge National Laboratory, the Department of Energy's own research institution, measured this on a city-by-city basis. In Chicago, the Earth maintains a steady 55 degrees all year. In Atlanta, it is 62, Denver 58, Phoenix 67, Minneapolis 52, and in Holmes County, Ohio, exactly where those Amish farms are located, the ground temperature remains at 54 degrees every day of each year. It never fluctuates. Now reflect on that briefly. Your air conditioning system operates by compressing chemical refrigerant, pushing it through coils, moving air over those coils, and expelling the heat to the outdoors. It delivers roughly 3.5 units of cooling per unit of electrical energy it uses. Engineers refer to this as a coefficient of performance near 3.5. An earth tube, a straightforward buried pipe allowing air to pass through cool soil, was evaluated across 47 installations globally. It achieved a coefficient of performance of 28.7. That is 28 compared to 3. This disparity accounts for billions of dollars annually in hardware, refrigerant, power, and maintenance agreements, which explains why this technology has stayed unknown to you. The underlying physics is so straightforward it seems nearly too advantageous, and soil is dense, weighing between 100 and 125 pounds per cubic foot. Shifting that mass by just 1 degree requires vast energy, about 20 to 30 BTUs per cubic foot. When summer heat scorches the surface, it begins penetrating the ground, but its progression is slow. It requires 6 to 8 weeks to infiltrate merely 6 feet, and by the moment it reaches that depth, the season has already shifted. The ground cannot soak up heat quickly enough to become warm, therefore it remains cool. It constitutes the biggest thermal storage system on Earth, existing beneath every household. Currently in the United States, it remains completely unused because no one informed you of its presence, and the Amish did not learn about this from any textbook. They discovered it through their usual method, observing natural processes and constructing accordingly. Without any insulation or mechanical refrigeration, the ground maintains a temperature between 32 degrees throughout the entire year. This is not merely custom, it is physics in practice, perfected across 200 years. Next come the spring houses. These structures are built right above natural springs, where consistent 5-4 degree groundwater circulates beneath the floor. The interior remains around 50 degrees through the entire summer. Amish communities in Lancaster and Holmes counties rely on these buildings to preserve dairy and vegetables fresh without any electrical power. I stood within one such structure on a day when the outdoor temperature reached 91 degrees, yet inside I could see my own breath. However, the most significant system for this presentation is what the Amish referred to as the floors breathing. Underground clay pipes laid beneath farmhouse foundations. Outside air travels through these subterranean conduits. then ascends through floorboards after being cooled by the soil. The USDA recorded this technique in a 1903 manual, particularly referencing clay pipe setups in Holmes County, Ohio. That publication is more than 120 years old. Yet the system it details continues operation beneath Amish residences to this day. Now, things become intriguing. The Amish, who established settlements in Ohio and Pennsylvania, originated from Germany and Switzerland. These same nations currently dominate worldwide advanced earth tube technology. Germany boasts 847 monitored residential earth tube systems recorded by the Passive House Institute in Darmstadt since 2005. Austria mandates thermal labyrinth assessments for structures exceeding 1,000 square meters. Switzerland has a 15-year longitudinal research project by ETH Zurich, among the world's most prestigious engineering institutions, demonstrating no decline whatsoever in system efficiency across the entire observation interval. None at all. The expertise the Amish brought from Europe 2 centuries ago is identical to what Europe rediscovered through contemporary engineering. The loop was completed, yet the United States remained unaware because certain parties deliberately prevented that information from reaching it. In 1902, Willis Carrier devised mechanical air conditioning at a printing facility in Brooklyn. His challenge was not related to temperature. Instead, moisture was damaging the paper. The apparatus was never intended for human comfort. Music. However, by the 1920s, the Carrier Corporation initiated a weather-maker campaign that reframed air conditioning as an emblem of American advancement. Music. According to their marketing materials, which I have thoroughly examined, passive cooling methods were described as primitive and unsanitary. A single sentence in a 1930 Carrier Engineering Corporation manual effectively erased 5,000 years of established engineering. The sentence stated, "Earth contact cooling is suitable only for cellars and food storage." With that one line in a corporate manual, an entire body of knowledge vanished from American building practices. This was no coincidence. The first model mechanical codes of 1927 were drafted with substantial involvement from representatives of the HVAC industry. Passive options were not prohibited, they were simply omitted from the document. Those who wrote the regulations were the same people selling compressors. Following World War II, the building boom made mechanical cooling the only accepted standard. Passive cooling disappeared from architectural curricula. By 1980, fewer than 3% of U.S. architecture programs included any passive cooling strategies. An entire generation of architects, engineers, builders, and inspectors was educated in a world where earth tubes were unknown. This was not due to failure, but because they were not profitable. The financial figures make the motivation clear. In 2022 alone, the Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute spent $47.3 million on political activities. The U.S. residential cooling market is valued at $29 billion annually. The average lifetime value per residential HVAC customer exceeds $15,000. Every earth tube installed is an air conditioner that is never sold, a compressor that is never replaced, a refrigerant charge that is never refilled, a service contract that is never signed. In 2019, ASHRAE Technical Committee 6.8, which evaluates exactly these kinds of systems, rejected a proposal to create a performance pathway for music earth tubes. The stated reason was a lack of sufficient domestic performance data. This was said despite having 3 decades of European documentation covering 847 monitored installations. When researchers examined the committee's membership, 67% were from HVAC manufacturers. The foxes set the rules for the hen house, and the hens never knew. 2 years later, in 2021, the Building Officials Association of Florida formally opposed an amendment that would have recognized passive cooling in the state building code. Their public concern was inspection complexity. But each earth tube approved in Florida means a central air unit is never installed in a state where cooling costs $400 per month for half the year. Do the math yourself. Section M 1000. 601 of the International Residential Code requires all duct systems to be made of materials with a maximum flame spread index of 200. There is no provision for earth contact air handling. The code assumes ducts are inside buildings. A system with pipes buried in the ground does not fit that template. Thus, it cannot be approved, not because it fails, but because the form has no box for it. Meanwhile, the Cambridge Public Library in Massachusetts has 42 earth tubes buried underneath. This results in 51 to 56% less total energy use compared to a standard building. The Earth Ranger Center in Toronto uses 9 concrete tubes, each about 20 meters long, buried 3 meters deep. In winter, it warms incoming air by 20 degrees Celsius. In summer, it cools it by 10 degrees Celsius. It achieved LEED Platinum certification. Since 1994, the Allgemeine Krankenhaus Hospital in Vienna has cooled its critical care units with earth tubes, 30 years of continuous operation. Maintenance is required every 5 to 7 years. Operating costs are a fraction of conventional cooling. This is not experimental, it's established infrastructure. However, your building inspector is unfamiliar with it since it wasn't covered in his licensing test. If you're a homeowner thinking this only pertains to new construction, keep listening. The following information is tailored for you. There's no need to demolish your foundation or remove your current system. All you require is a yard, a side yard, or even a narrow strip of land. The width of a vehicle next to a fence is enough. For a pre-existing house, here's the setup. Excavate a trench 1.8 meters deep along any available land, your backyard, or the property boundary. Install smooth wall HDPE or PVC pipe 15 to 20 centimeters in diameter over a length of 30 to 60 meters. Using smooth wall pipe is mandatory. Corrugated pipe captures moisture and promotes mold growth. Place the pipe on a sand bed to ensure optimal thermal transfer. Give the pipe a 2% slope toward a drainage point so any interior condensation drains away without accumulating. One end is linked to an above-ground intake fitted with a screen. The opposite end enters your home via a basement wall or crawl space equipped with a MERV 13 filter and an inline fan consuming 50 to 80 watts. The air exiting has moved 30 to 60 meters through ground, maintained at 13 degrees Celsius on a 35 degrees Celsius day. The outgoing air temperature ranges from 18 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius. There's no compressor, no refrigerant, no chemical reaction, only physics. Moreover, the air is not only cooler, but also less humid. Moisture and airborne particulates are trapped by condensation on the pipe's interior surfaces. Relative humidity decreases from 80% to below 50%. The component materials come to about $300. The fan's power consumption equals that of a single light bulb, and the piping has a lifespan of 50 to 100 years. In contrast, a central air conditioner lasts 15 to 25 years before it is discarded. Before revealing the Tennessee system, which has no operating cost and needs no permits, let me know that all the content I've presented on this channel is now compiled in one location. The heating element, the wall structure, the water supply, and this is referred to as the Amish home system. The link is in the description, but keep watching. The aspect everyone is ignoring is what this individual constructed in his backyard for $400. Now let's be straightforward. In dry and continental climates like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Wisconsin, Colorado, Texas, Hill Country, and Kansas, you won't get complaints from those selling this. The system operates excellently with very little trouble. That encompasses the majority of this audience's locations. In humid southern regions such as coastal Florida, condensation within the pipe poses a significant difficulty. The system still provides cooling, but controlling the moisture requires greater care. For such zones, a more intelligent version exists. Rather than moving air through the underground pipe, a closed circuit of water and glycol, the same antifreeze used in car radiators, is circulated. The fluid flows through the buried loop, absorbing the ground's stable temperature, and then goes through an indoor heat exchanger. The result is cool air. Air never comes into contact with the buried pipe, eliminating condensation, mold potential, and radon worries. This makes the version impervious from a building code standpoint. Is greater than, is greater than music, is greater than, is greater than. It employs ordinary plumbing components. It satisfies current plumbing regulations in all states. There is no need for a special permit, no bewildered inspector, and no HVAC code lacking a category for it. However, the method I promised, the one I discovered that remains unnoticed, originated from a man living in rural Tennessee. This is the element that prompted me to travel 4 hours to observe it firsthand. The gentleman occupies a home of about 139 square meters, constructed in the 1970s, conventional build. Unremarkable. Previously, his monthly expenses for temperature control were around $240 during summer and similar in winter. 3 years back, he constructed a closed-loop glycol system, yet he did not install it beneath his dwelling. He placed it beneath his workshop, which is located 3.7 meters from his rear entrance. He excavated a trench 1.8 meters deep under the workshop floor and routed the glycol pipes through his home's wall. He linked these to a basic fan coil device purchased online for $80. During summer, the system extracts heat from his home and transfers it into the ground at 13 degrees Celsius. In winter, it draws thermal energy at 13 degrees Celsius from the earth and distributes it indoors. A single unit serving 2 purposes, providing year-round comfort. His energy costs for heating and cooling have been zero since it was installed. He described it as a 2-in-1 deal, and the total material expense was less than $400. He personally excavated the trench across 2 weekends. The glycol circuit employs a compact circulation pump consuming 40 watts. The fan coil device is located in a closet without any changes to the ductwork. Permits are unnecessary since it functions as a plumbing loop rather than an HVAC system, and this is the crucial point. He left his original furnace and air conditioner untouched. They remain in place and connected, but he simply never activates them. Music. Should his ground loop require servicing, he can revert within 5 minutes without any danger. There is no obligation. It's merely a person who ceased spending $240 each month because he recognized the free service the soil beneath his workshop was already providing. This is wisdom that has been present for 5 millennia. Persian civilizations constructed ice storage structures in arid regions. Romans designed subterranean cooling ducts beneath their estates. Koreans channeled airflow under flooring for 3,000 years. Indigenous peoples of the American Southwest erected semi-underground dwellings for 8,000 years. All societies that conquered harsh weather conditions reached the identical solution on their own. The ground retains thermal energy. The conduit merely serves as the route. The Amish community retained this knowledge. They transported it from Switzerland and Germany to Pennsylvania and Ohio 2 centuries ago. They continued constructing it because it functioned effectively and because they never required external authorization to implement what was logical. In 1930, a single line within a company handbook determined that this information would remain unknown to you. In 2019, a panel consisting of 67% industry representatives ensured it remained concealed. In 2021, authorities in Florida prevented its inclusion in building regulations to safeguard an industry valued at $29 billion annually. Yet the soil under your home is indifferent to committees, codes, or quarterly profits. It maintains a temperature of 13 degrees Celsius. It has always registered 13 degrees Celsius, and it will remain at 13 degrees Celsius long after all manufactured air conditioning units have corroded away. The Amish did not misplace this wisdom. It was simply never imparted to you. Now you possess it. Share your state in the comment section and disclose your summer cooling expenses. Also indicate whether you have any property surrounding your home, even a front garden or a boundary line. This setup can be installed in a space as narrow as a car's width. If your grandfather once owned a spring house or a root cellar that preserved food without power, I would like to learn about it. That understanding and this mechanism share identical physical principles, merely assigned it a different term. So, did you believe it was complex? This is straightforward. For 2,400 years, the Earth has accomplished this with no mechanical components at all. If you are the sort of individual who thinks genuine knowledge has been deliberately hidden to safeguard another's profits, you already understand the necessary steps. Tap subscribe. In the coming week, I will demonstrate the Amish water system, which delivers pure drinking water without any pump, filter, or electrical power. A system that supplies clean drinking water absent of pump, filter, or electricity, employing a technique the EPA attempted to label as non-conforming back in 2012. Their attempt failed, and the explanation behind that failure is a tale you must hear.